After the deal is closed, project management starts. And that's what Lyndsay Erickson is here for. She's here to answer some questions for the Solar Objections Group. So excited she's here. If you want to be part of the conversation, be back in 60 seconds. Let's go. We are live. Thanks everyone for being back on another edition, a special edition, a SolarCon live stream. My name is Solar Joe, and we are coming live from the Solar Objections Facebook group, like always, and YouTube and LinkedIn. So get in the comments, go say hello, where you're watching from, what city you're watching from. We'll get started with the engagement, because today we have an amazing guest, a special guest who really specializes in project management. Not only that, customer service, deal retention, referral growth, and it's been a big asset, because all that means is better homeowner experience and more money for Solar Pros. So I think everybody's happy with that. So I'm really excited to have here Lyndsay Erickson.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be able to give kind of a sneak peek into what I'll be talking about at SolarCon.
And also, she's going to be a speaker at SolarCon. I'm really excited to have her there. And everybody watching, she is doing us the honor and giving us value and doing a group Q&A. So this is just not me asking the questions. I will if I have to, because I got plenty of questions to ask. But this is for all of us to participate in. But like always, if you want your name shown, you have to click on the StreamYard's link on the bottom of the post to give permission to show your name, or it'll just say Facebook user. That's fine, but we want to know who's saying what stuff, right? Right, Lyndsay?
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, Lyndsay, like I said, she's going to be answering questions for us and kind of go into project management and customer retention and referral growth. But before we get into that, Lyndsay, would you like to go over a little bit about your background, how you got started, and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I'm going to age myself a little bit by telling this story. But before I started knocking doors, I was a chef. And I actually spent almost 18 years in the food and beverage industry in Vegas. And, hospitality industry is really the lifeblood of customer service throughout the nation. Anybody that's been a server or bartender knows this. So I kind of had reached a glass ceiling where I was at and just wanted to challenge myself to do something different. And I actually quit my job before I got my first sale. I don't suggest that for everybody. I cried almost every day for my first 3 months in solar. I kept trying to emulate other people and learn everybody else's scripts. And I was one of two females, and it wasn't, I wasn't in the best cultures for women in growth at the time. But really, what happened for me was that once I started on the doors, and this is in the Las Vegas market, which is not kind. Anybody that's knocked out here knows. This was towards the end of 2018, September, I knocked my first door. And about 3 months into that, I just started being myself. I realized that trying to be everybody else wasn't working for me. So I set out with the ideal that I was just going to be the nerdy solar girl that I would buy from. And it worked. But in opening myself to that, I also found that what I was doing is really, I was just showing up. I was meeting people where they were at authentically, like out in my neighborhoods, and I was just trying to be of service. After, I built up my brand and launched my own company and all of that, we actually were one of the first companies to take SOS calls. Anybody that wants to get on my website, you can actually book it. It's a 15-minute call. You can book right on the website, where if you already have solar and you're having issues, you can call me. We will give you 15 minutes of our time. We will bulldog for you with your solar company if you're not getting responses. There's even been oftentimes that the homeowners are wrong, and we help them sort through, their own misunderstandings. But it kind of just in me settling into who I am as a salesperson, I have always approached it from science and being of service. So I educated homeowners and I served them to the best of my ability. That was just to get to the close. After I started, because I was pretty decent, I racked up some numbers. And in doing so, I had to develop systems to maintain the back end bog down that a lot of us deal with when we start becoming successful on the doors. And it just so happened that I have a natural knack for understanding where people really are and feeling, I'm an empath in a way. Like, I can meet people where they're at emotionally and, adjust and adapt and help, guide them through the things that they're dealing with. And as I'm realizing this and racking up sales and I'm managing a decent pipeline and then building a team and recruiting, and I got into actual managing and got really integrated into NetSuite with Titan was my major installer at the time. As I'm learning all of those things, I realize that I'm being pulled more to help with saving deals with cancellations and building systems. I mean, the first couple companies that I worked with, they're still to this day using systems that I built for referral projections and customer care. I think I was one of the first people in the industry to speak publicly on customer experience. I think just that title was an obscure idea, a year and a half ago. So
it should be. I appreciate what you're doing. So keep going.
Yeah. So 11 months ago, me and my business partner, Mark, who's actually right here next to me, we kind of got our Wonder Twin brains together, and we realized that, what him and I, because we've kind of always worked on the back ends of solar teams on the sales side, but we realized that what we had always been doing, it's nobody else is really doing it. So I don't know how many of you watching this right now, have knocked on a door and had a homeowner get aggressive about it being solar, right? Pretty much everybody. Why is that? Like, why is this happening? There's such a bias. Like, you don't hear them saying the same thing about pest control or alarms, right? There is a severe lack of customer service, like, in this industry across the board. And there's some installers that have great customer experiences and some sales organizations that have, great customer experiences. But across the board, how often are we really talking about this? Like, show of hands out there, how many of you as reps or how many of you as leaders are actually training your homeowner facing representatives on how to talk to the homeowner after the close? I mean, how many people are really doing that? That's one the companies that we consult for. That's one of the first things that I suggest is, if you have a high cancellation rate, once a month, have a mandatory customer service training for your closers. It's not on the close, on after the close. You'd be amazed at how many teams we step into their boat and their reps don't even know what the project timeline looks like after the close. Reps that are putting up dozens of sales a month that have no idea what happens after site survey. And they're losing on average about, 30% of their revenue in cancellations. I think right now across the board, the industry average is 27% in cancellations right now. And we see on average a 40% increase in retention just by this one step, by this step and having an exit interview for cancellations for retention. It's those two things. We see a massive improvement in how many deals, you're saving. Because we all get told, don't worry about the cancellations, just go sell more. But that's why homeowners are getting bad customer service, because nobody's worried about them.
And bad word of mouth to the next homeowners who are going to sign up. They hear these negative things, negative experiences. That doesn't make them want to go solar. Hearing that, right?
And most of the time that I'm hearing from these homeowners, it's legitimately that they signed up and then didn't know what was happening and called their rep and either couldn't get an answer, or the rep panicked, because they can hear when you panic. The homeowners hear it. They do. They hear you. And if you're panicking, they lose faith so quickly. Like, and it's the easiest things you can train your people on too, like just in how they answer the phone. Take a breath, smile first. And it's literally, this is the one thing I tell them, say this inside your head. I'm the expert. They already chose me. More than likely, this is just a question. I do this every day. Works like a charm.
That's it right there. And I got a bunch of questions for you.
Yeah.
So everybody watching, this is your opportunity. Get in there, get in the comments, ask questions. Anything has to do with project management, customer service, deal retention, referral growth. Lyndsay's here to answer them. But there's a couple of comments that came in. I'll start, and then we'll get into it. First, Imran Khan wanted to say, hi, Solar Joe. Glad to see you again. You are a beast. I think he said the best, but I'll take beast. Facebook user said, go Lyndsay. Panda Appointment said, way cool. So somebody wants to know, what is this about? You want to go give them a little teaser of what we're talking about, Lyndsay?
Sure. So this last year, I launched a company that's the first of its kind, Radiant Resources. And what we do two things, really. We consult with companies that already have operations staff. But generally, we get, after you close the deal, we get the solar on the roof, we get everybody paid, and we keep everybody happy. That's really what it comes down to. Our specialty is kind of being the crock pot of solar, where your reps can set it and forget it, and we take care of the rest.
Awesome. So Raja had a little gripe. He said, don't say customer, say homeowners or
That's
families.
fair.
I mean,
so I usually say clients. Clients is usually what I say.
Yeah, clients is good, or a homeowner. That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I heard you say homeowners. Thanks for saying homeowner now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as the questions are coming in, I have so many questions for you. And the first one has to do with before the project management even starts. Can you give some tips to solar pros of setting the right expectations of what happens after this closed?
Okay, and this is where it comes back to a lot of them don't receive the proper training. You know, they get taught how to knock the door, pitch the homeowner, how to do the close, you know, sometimes how to do like some of the pre-site survey stuff, but many people don't understand what goes into, you know, the design process or permitting or, you know, the HOA in general. And that, you know, differs dependent on your region. So the first thing that I will tell people is learn your market. If you use an external installer, get with your client rep and actually have them walk you through the process. Memorize your expected timeframes. I think what a lot of us forget is that for most homeowners, this is one of the largest purchases that they will ever make outside of, you know, their house or a nice vehicle. And generally, they're learning about the opportunity, getting convinced that it's a good, you know, opportunity for them, getting qualified and getting contracted generally in 2 hours or less. Now, most of us that know about audio or visual retention know that 3 days after the fact, the majority of that information is gone. So what's normally happening with a lot of the cancellations across the industry is that homeowners are calling really with questions. And the reps either panic, don't answer at all, or panic and give them the wrong answers. So learn your market, learn what I call the after close objections, because there's a whole list of them. Learn, you know, pay attention to when your homeowners are calling and what they're asking, and then start adapting your in-house close to that. Because really, a lot of what they experience can be, you know, it can be molded while you're in the home with them. And then as a leader, I could tell you that if you have reps that are getting cancellations at specific times or for specific reasons, do an exit interview. I suggest them anyways, because it's a great way to get to, a third party voice to be able to resell the homeowner. Mark and I are actually going to do a live role play of that on stage at SolarCon. So we will give you an actual exit interview so you can see exactly how those work, because it really, I've saved so many deals.
That makes so much sense, right? Because a lot of times homeowners just canceling because of panicking or something they heard or that thought, and they just need that calm voice to explain to them, no, it's okay. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But here's what we can do for you, and that solves a lot of problems, right?
Mm-hmm. As a leader, if you're getting a lot of cancellations in the first 3 days, especially if it's pre-site survey, the rep is missing something in the home or being too pushy. That's generally what I can tell you that I see 80% of the time. Or they're being poached, or there's competition, because that too, obviously. But as a leader, those are things that you can look out for to help with your overall retention.
It sounds like pay attention to data, pay attention to the numbers, because that's going to show you a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a kind of a CRM that we have built for ourselves that we use for our clients. We track every KPI you can imagine. We track everything. Because if you don't know how you're doing, how do you know where to improve, right?
But if you know everything, then you know exactly where to improve.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So there's a comment that came in. I'm not sure the exact question, but maybe you want to take it the direction you want to. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's about a lot of reps don't really have the technical knowledge to be able to explain things correctly to homeowner, and about how a lot of reps don't even know what is a kilowatt. They say a kW is equal to 3 panels. How is that possible? How do you want to answer that one?
So, it can come down to a couple of things. One, what training is being offered by the organization. So for our company, when we onboard a client, we actually go through about an 1.5 hour long interview process. We turn away about 5 out of every 6 people that we meet with now on average. And my number one question is, what training do your reps receive? Because I'm not going to subject my people to angry and confused homeowners if you're not giving your people the tools that they need to succeed. So having the training available is very important. And also, you can't just use the same old training all the time. I have seen this as well, where the same training platforms are being used time and time again, where industry information changes daily. So I think as a good leader, to help with this issue, you need to make sure you're giving new sources of information, and also have checks and balances to make sure that it's being used. On the opposite side of that, the reps also have to take responsibility for the fact that this is a profession. This is a full-blown construction job, and you are handling loan documents and construction contracts. You should be putting in the time to educate yourself. I didn't have a training platform to use when I first started in solar, and I was the rep that did the AutoCAD inside the house with the homeowner. I got on every roof, I got in every attic. So it's partially on the reps. If you want to, be the best, you have to put in the most work. That's the biggest thing. You have to have the resources, but you also have to use them. It's both.
How about yourself, Lyndsay? Do you get into the technical stuff, or even if there's Imran's asking about if homeowner wants Tesla solar shingles, and say they signed up and they're thinking about doing the new greatest product. Are you going into explaining the differences, or are you just kind of passing it along to the Solar Pro? How do you work that kind of questions with the homeowner?
So if it's a homeowner calling after the fact, if it's something pertaining to the technology that they already have contracted for, I will answer it. If it's the opportunity to upsell, or if it has the ability to change the commissioning or the loan amount, I will 100% pass to the rep, because that's their pocket, that's their project. I just make sure everybody stays happy during the process.
I think Imran just thinks that we're doing objections right now. We're not really doing objections right now. We're doing more customer service and deal
Sure.
retention and project manager questions, Imran. I appreciate though. Keep going. More engagement, the better. Go ahead, guys. Keep asking questions. My question for you is about that, communication with the homeowner after it's closed, and what kind of follow-up is needed, and is it too much follow-up annoying for the homeowner to deal with? Like what's that right balance?
So there's a couple things that I suggest that will help you either as an individual rep or as an organization trying to build a customer service identity. A couple of things that you can implement that will help kind of guide you in the right direction. So I have always asked the homeowner, like when I was a sales rep, what is your preferred method of communication? I ask that before I leave the house, and then I stick to it. People want what they want. So I would, and as a leader, find a way with deal submissions to have that noted. Stick to that. As of right now, I was reading a couple studies this last week. 87% of the average American consumer will switch brands if they are not communicated with properly. Period. 87% of your sales you can lose for lack of communication, and that's just the average American consumer right now. These things are important. They're key points of communication is what I call them, KPCs. For the average market, there are 7. For the average market, average install process, I always suggest a visual blueprint, which is kind of, we're putting something together for you guys, so stay tuned on that. But
hint, hint, hint.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. But really, it comes down to I have always been a huge proponent of like a what happens next, what to expect, something visual, informational for the homeowner. I started out originally making like trifolds that just kind of showed them what to expect, numbers they needed to call and when, what happens if they're not, I even had it on there where it explained like if you're turned on before summer, why you're going to have 2 bills. It's right there in your pamphlet. What I've noticed about humans in general is that, and this is going to be a little, I don't know, maybe aggressive or, crude or whatever, but
controversial. Let's go for
it. Maybe, but I'm going to say it anyways. You can literally leave a pile of dog turds on a homeowner's front yard if you let them know ahead of time you're going to do it, and you do it when you say you're going to.
That's hilarious, but it's a really good point.
All it is, it's literally set the expectation and then meet it. Like you have so many people that have these ideals, and they say we're going to be here for you every step of the way and all of this stuff, but where's the follow through? That's a huge thing. So I say start with an email. I've done, I've used the Sway software program to do email digital, like the homeowner gets an interactive thing that just walks them through like, okay, this is your solar system. This is your sales rep. This is who to contact for this. This is what to expect next. Here's the project timeline. Like there's nothing wrong with educating them, especially if you can hand them something tangible that they can hold on to, that where they can get answers for themselves. And if you give them research materials after you leave, it's way less likely that they are going to be, going online and finding whatever random information from wherever. Too. So it's also a great tip for retention. And then 7 key points of communication. Site survey results in design, when we're starting your permit, and how many of those, because in most places there are multiple, right? We've got utilities, we've got city, like all of that stuff. If they have electrical work, like it's literally just, these are the steps of your process. I'm checking in with you to let you know that this is what's happening and this is what to expect next. Do you have any questions for me? And then because you're already contacting them, and this can even be automated emails, by the way, this doesn't have to be you calling 20 homeowners a day. I've automated multiple CRMs to send these notifications out for multiple companies. It doesn't have to be hard, but it needs to be something, if you catch what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to overthink it. Your program doesn't have to be the smartest kid in the room. Like, give the homeowner something tangible, because there's so many people out here left in the dark, and it's just, there's so much shade on the industry from it.
Speaking of that, you're going to add some more? Go ahead.
No, I just say we're people. Treat them like that after you make the paycheck too.
So speaking of that, how does good project management, that's the easiest way to say it, help with referrals? Because that's like a big reason why I'm excited about this, because that's where you can really build that relationship with a homeowner and take that to the next level, where you don't have to beg them to refer people. They're telling you about everybody and the great conversation they're having.
Mm-hmm. First thing is communication. Communication and education. Are you going to get referrals from somebody you're not talking to?
Never, it doesn't work. Like sometimes they'll be like, oh, I got to talk to somebody. But when you talk to them, that's when you get a bunch of referrals.
Right. And really, we've created and implemented systems where you can start by pulling them in, like in the house. Like we have a welcome call that pulls 3 referrals written down on the spot. And it's a super simple thing. It's, it doesn't have to be, put yourself through the process. That's what I tell most people. Put yourself through the process as the homeowner, experience what they're experiencing from their point of view. Think about if you would want to be treated the way that they're being treated. It's really that simple. I think we stop looking at them as humans because we see so much money.
And not only that, it's also that it becomes a game almost, right? Like you just kind of going on the motions and you're just forgetting that these are actually people and they hear what you're saying, they see your body language, they see your commission breath. And you can't, like, it could be treated as game in the long run, but each person needs to feel like they're important, they're being heard, right?
And you had them excited when you closed them, right? Keep them that way. It's way easier to keep somebody happy than it is to repair somebody that's pissed.
Okay, so I'm going to play a little devil's advocate, Lyndsay, because I would say some solar pros would be like, I've had so much success just setting it and forgetting it, and just letting the team deal with it. And you know what, I'll deal with it at the end. And then sometimes like just less work for me. They usually go through, and I have to deal with it. What's it said to be about that? Like just no communication sometimes can work to less work for me.
My first question is, what's your retention rate?
It's probably going to be pretty low, but
Okay. So let's break it, because customer service is a science and everything that we do comes down to math, right? So let's break it down. If you could spend, let's just say $10 an hour for a part-time person to send out some, thank you emails and some automated points of contact, screenshots of some designs, right? You can pay an 18-year-old college kid that's in, a sales, entrepreneurship business mindset, a pretty little penny on the side to work part-time, right? You're going to spend maybe $2,000 a month, maybe. If your retention rate raises by 40% and you're already losing 30% of your deals, and let's just say you've got 10 deals a month that you're closing, right? What's my math on that, Mark?
12% losing 3, you get 1.25 back.
You get 1.25 back. Is that more than the $2,000 you're spending in commission?
there you go. You're making money, right?
It's basic math. It's literally basic math. And not only that, you haven't even factored in the long-term retention for, or conversion rates for their referrals, and then their referrals, and then their referrals. Like it's astounding to me with as many business-minded people are in this industry that they don't see the amount of money that is just running out of these companies right now.
I'm going to do one more hard question just because it comes up. Is some solar pros say like too much communication hurts the deal? I don't know if you answered it already or not, but like what's too much communication? Is there like calling them too much, they feel too worried about the project, or does that come up at all?
So as long as you stick to your project changes, do not ever contact a homeowner if you don't have anything to contact them for. If there's no changes in your project, why? No, there's no reason for it. It's literally changes in the project or when you need something from them. And here's one thing I will tell you too. Do not ever randomly just contact them for referrals. I don't care how close you are. Pinging for referrals or reviews should always be with an actual pointed piece of communication.
Oh,
always.
that's a good tip right there.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
And with a lot of the automated stuff we've done too, we've set those up to also be automated. So if you've got 7 key points of communication where you're sending out emails, every other one you should be pinging with links and positive scripting and emotional prompts for them to click and leave a review if they've had, a good experience so far, or click here and send in your referral. Just a reminder, we have this.
Speaking of that, that sounds like a lot of work, and I think you already hit on it about automation. But can you kind of hit on a little bit, like, how do you deal? Like, we have to deal with our own homeowners, right? But you're dealing with like so many solar pros, so many homeowners. How do you actually get that organization down?
So that partially comes into the CRM that we've created for ourselves. And I go through with our teams and I actually create customer service scripting because we white label our services. So the general public does not know that we exist. They think that I am, the Grateful Solar or the Ionic Solar or, sorry, those are a couple of our clients and I want to use names that we know.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But you want your customer experience to be branded to you, to your organization or to yourself as a rep, and how you take care of people or how you want them to be taken care of. Because I've seen some organizations where it's like their customer experience is really high tech and really fast and hard and like almost a little aggressive, but their brand pulls those kind of homeowners to them. So it works. Do you see what I'm saying? So it should, like, if you have more of a mom and pop feel to your culture, like your smaller organization, your customer experience should feel like that. If you're a larger organization or you're like us and you're handling dozens of other organizations, we're live in 28 markets right now, where we have to keep tabs on expected permitting times, HOA laws, like all of that stuff. So it comes down to who you are, how you can make it work for you, because if you're just by yourself and you've got a pop and pipeline, you're not going to be able probably to do a whole lot unless you hire out externally, which is the whole reason we exist. But really, you can do the math for yourself. Look at your cancellation rates, do the research on what customer service can do for you, and then, wager for yourself on what that's worth to you. Without a good customer experience, it's going to be very hard for any organization to set up longevity in this industry, period. That's any industry, any market.
You were speaking of like 28 states. So that brings up another question to segue right to it. Is one thing is you being able to give great customer service for homeowners, but how do you train the reps in the field? Because that's half the battle is what you do, and then train the reps to give great customer service. Do you have any techniques for that?
I do. There's a couple of very quick little like the last method. I use this all the time. This is great for problem solving of any kind. I have a lot of newer kind of nervous reps that even use this to help with like when they get cancellations. So very easy for you guys. Anybody that wants to write this down, I know we're being recorded, but last method. So listen, right? L in last. And listen genuinely. Don't listen with your response in mind. Really listen, because most of the time you have to dig a little bit to find out what homeowners are really upset about. And don't be afraid to question either, because questioning a homeowner like while they're upset and venting to you actually shows that you're interested. It makes them feel like you're investing in them. So listen for one. Acknowledge. Do not apologize. This is another huge issue that I see way too many people doing. They're way too eager to apologize when often it's just confusion that we need to clear up. Like, acknowledge. Absolutely. And then solve it. If there is a solution, this can be anything from educating a homeowner to even down to having to reprimand a sales rep. Like, solve it. But make sure that you follow up on whatever you're telling the homeowner that you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, and then thank them. So, because they could have just canceled. They didn't have to bring you their concern. They didn't have to give you the opportunity to, make things right. It's literally that easy. Listen, acknowledge, I hear what you're saying. I understand how that can be frustrating. Do you see it? Like, I'm not apologizing, but I hear you. I'm meeting you where you're at. I understand what you're telling me. I'm going to help you get this fixed, right? I'm not sorry. I didn't even do anything wrong. I'm just trying to help you, right? So that's really that simple. Last, listen, acknowledge, solve, and think.
And if they don't know the answer, get the answer. Don't lie to the homeowner.
Right.
Basic things.
Do not panic. Do not panic. I mean, these homeowners, they forget 80% of what you tell them in the close. They do. And sometimes they have weird stuff. I still get questions that I don't know the answer for. Like I had to figure out what bandwidth an inverter broadcasts at because this guy had a radio station in his house recently. Like that's so it's 5 megahertz or whatever it is, by the way. I have it written down somewhere here, but admit you don't know things. Nobody knows everything. Nobody does. And the homeowner will appreciate that more than you panicking and giving them a bullshit answer.
And it's not always the solar pro's fault, right? Like sometimes the homeowners are difficult and they're not easy, or they're lying, or they're making up stuff, or they're trying to get some deal or something. So how do you deal with that situation where it's not the solar pro at all? It's just the homeowners are being more difficult?
So there's 2 ways that generally you can go about this. If it's post-close, they're already contracted, but they're being a nightmare. Like I had a client years ago. It was one of my first. His name was Jack. I ended up going back to that house to pitch against 10 other solar companies when he was already in contract. He called me to his house literally 4 days before his install because he wanted to check out another company and he wanted me to be there. Right? Patience is a virtue because that man has sent me more referrals than anybody ever has. So, patience, and please, you guys understand that they don't know this process. They don't know what we're doing on the back end. They don't know what the installers are doing on the back end. Like they are, for the most part, blind to their like little children in what we do and what we do as professions. And most of the time they're running off what they've read online, which hopefully is true, or what they've heard from people, which is generally biased. So be patient, have understanding that this is a large decision for them. Educate as much as you can, especially if you can take that education off of your plate. Like if you have a difficult homeowner that's just like going on and on about technologies and warranties and all of those things, flood them with information. I generally give people what they want 100% of the time, if I can.
Because you're listening to them and you're trying to help them.
I'm hearing them. I'm meeting them where they're at, and I am being fair and I'm being conscientious to what it is that they're experiencing.
The answer is empathy, right? Like understand where they're coming from. That yes, we're the pros, we're knowledgeable on this, but they have no idea. There are so many crazy things, and they're trying to get the best deal possible. They don't know what's a good deal or not, and they.
Now
right?
on that though, don't lose your backbone. You know what I'm saying? Like be of service and be aware, but don't let them push you around either, because people they'll try. They will. They'll push you. They'll push you to get free stuff. You are, and I say this all the time. I say this because I mentor a lot of girls too. You are the expert. They already chose you. Because I'm working after the close. They've already contracted with you. So
they already chose you.
You're the expert.
I love this comment. It just came in. Facebook said, the way to stop a lion from roaring is to feed it.
Fully. No, that's so true. And be aware too, psychologically. Like I don't think that we gauge enough emotionally what this is like for a homeowner. You know, I say it over and over and over again, but like I have a little like series of questions I generally run through when I meet with a sales organization for the first time. And maybe a couple people on the call right now would like to join us in this, but show of hands, you know, I kind of asked this already, who's been yelled at for being involved in solar at a door, right? Everybody. Okay. Now keep your hand up if you have actually stuck around to find out why the homeowner was angry. Okay. Now, keep your hand up if you've actually stayed to help them fix their problem. I might be the only one on the call. Anybody?
There you go. That's the secret.
That is what it is. Is it, I think more of us, we constantly complain about other reps not being, trained or doing shady stuff or selling bad deals or all of this. Like, we constantly hear complaints about that, right? And all these reps are doing this and this company's doing that or whatever. But like, how many of us are actually stepping in and helping the homeowners? I don't think enough of us are doing that.
I agree. And guys, we have one more question. If you guys want to put one more in there, we only have a few more minutes of Lyndsay's time. So get in there. One more question. I have a question for you before I let you go. And it really comes down to that you're not just doing solar, right? So you're also helping other companies. And I was just curious for my own mind, how does solar compare with project management with other things you're working with, companies you're working with?
So I do primarily stay in door to door, although I do work, I have some work with an online magazine right now and a cigar campaign. Customer service is customer service. It all comes down to communication. But what I can tell you about the solar industry specifically is that of all the industries that I've seen, of all the industries that I've worked in, it is by far the worst. By far the worst. I think the majority of the companies that do actually provide a good customer experience are going to be the ones that we see, that become the iPhone and the Apple, or the Apple and the Samsung, as the industry continues to funnel. Those are going to be the ones with longevity. I think for a lot of us, our industry has developed so quickly that we do a lot of running to catch up all the time. And especially with like supply chain issues and all of that now, I think customer service is like the next thing that we need to start running to catch up on. Technology's great. Sales organizations are great. The tools we're working with are great. We've really got to up the game with that. Never in an industry have I seen such negative reviews across the board.
And that's why I am so happy you're here, shouting it out to let the solar community know what's going on. I'm so glad that you're going to be speaking at SolarCon to get even more value to the audience and SolarCon attendees. But besides SolarCon, or if you want to talk about solar, that'd be good too. What's next for you? What's your next on the agenda? What's your plans?
So SolarCon in April, very much so. I've got a couple of kind of secretive contracts in the work right now. I'm attempting to do something that hasn't been done in our industry on multiple fronts. So I don't know if anybody follows me on Instagram, but I'm going to be kind of unveiling a little bit moving forward. I plan to be making some pretty large announcements by April when I take the stage. I also have a book that's releasing in September.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks for everything. Oh, and on that, I just saw that. What's my Instagram? So my Instagram is Lyndsay, and my name is spelled a little funky, so you'll see it under me there, but Lyndsay_the tank.
Love it. Thank you. I'm just trying to get that comments, users' comments on there. And another Facebook user wanted to comment. It's such a low entry point. Just about anybody can get in. So important to lead by example, like you, Lyndsay.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. But yeah, that's I plan on actually releasing a string of videos here shortly as well. I kind of just wanted, it's such a lacking thing, training. Like, if I've been in almost every solar training platform across the board, almost all of the universities, I've seen most of them. Not very many of them have anything on customer service. So we're going to be getting you guys some training videos.
And that's why you're going to be speaking at SolarCon, and you have a speaker's discount that you're actually offering to everybody watching. Mm-hmm. So if you look on down there, go to attendsolar.com Attend SolarCon.com, and Lyndsay Erickson 25 is the promo code. You get 25% off. And this is the early bird special. So the pricing is going up. So you're not going to get a better deal with that combination, early bird with the 25%. So get on it. Go to attendsolarcon.com and go put in Lyndsay's promo code, Lyndsay Erickson 25.
And with all the other amazing people that I've seen, like you had the one last week, and then I think you're about to announce the one coming up this next week. The amount of talent that you guys are bringing to that stage, it's just, first of all, I'm pretty sure the tickets are going to sell out. So if you haven't gotten them yet, like, I wouldn't wait. But really, I plan on fangirling there as much as I plan on providing value. So I'm really excited about it.
I'm super excited. Yes. And speaking of next week, we are going to have Mr. Rich Fiola of Solar Exclusive, who's going to be doing a group Q&A with us to answer questions also, just like Lyndsay did today. Lyndsay, thank you so much. So last thing before you go, any last thoughts, any else you want to leave off with the audience before we let you go?
Really, I just want to challenge everybody out there to, get on YouTube today and just look up some info on customer service and customer experience and positive scripting. Like, just start feeding yourself some of that information. And even if you don't have the ability to roll out an entire customer experience, or if you're not able to contract with an organization like ours, then, at least start putting that information into your head. Because the more of it that you ingest, the more aware you're going to be, and the better customer experience you're going to give regardless. So, and that's what we're crusading for. Let's just everybody be a little bit better to homeowners. Just if everybody was just a little bit better and communicated a little bit more, we could change a lot of the bias, I think.
That is beautiful. I think it's a great way to end it. Thank you so much, Lyndsay, for being on and taking your valuable time to share with the SolarCon and the Solar Objections audience. We are out. Thank you so much, Lyndsay. We'll be back next week, guys. SolarCon with Rich Fiola. Bye, Lyndsay. Thanks so much. Bye.